So let's have a look at how you can find some secret and not so secret military bases on Google Maps. Now I'm going to cheat a bit here. I'm going to go to places that I've already found, otherwise this video would probably take about 4 hours. They are findable, but they do take a long time to find. Now the first thing to look for is strange shapes. Can you see a strange shape amongst these fields? And here it is. And what we have here is nothing less than a secret airstrip. And I later found out this was put in World War II. It's quite big. It's big enough to take a C-130. And the reason it was put in is that there's actually an ammunition storage depot in an underground quarry just near here. And this airstrip was put in to serve that. There's also a train line which you can't really find on Google Maps anymore because it's actually an old train line that's been ripped up. You can't see it, it's in all these trees to the left here. But this is Monkton Farleigh. And the next thing to use is our friend the little yellow man. If you can find roads that the man cannot go down, then very often this is a good pointer to a secret base. It could be also a private estate, but that's actually less often the case, certainly in the UK. In the States it could be different. And here we find a whole section of roads that our little man can't go down. So let's go and have a look. Oops. Let's not go and have a look. There we go. And now here we can see we have some turn-ins for ammunition trucks. And I know this because I've been there on the ground. I went for a look around. And they've got berms either side to protect against blast. And there's a classic road that goes nowhere. Anytime you see this sort of thing, where you've got a road that's very well paved and it suddenly ends out in the middle of nowhere, that's more often than not a military site. And there's other things around as well, like little bunkers, ventilation areas. But we know there's something underneath here. But how about the other side of the road? There's not supposed to be anything there. Well, here's a little thing that the locals think is a reservoir. It's not. It's a Royal Observer Corps post that again is an underground facility designed to look for nuclear bangs in the Second World War, in the Cold War rather. And in this field, the other side of the main road, there are a lot of little interesting structures, and that one I just pointed out is a grate. And if we go back down here, there's a big giveaway. Look, 2 BT modern telephone exchanges, each one of them capable of serving 1,000 properties in a tiny little village like this with only probably 300 houses. Why on earth would they have that there? The answer is there's a lot more going on in Monkton Farleigh than meets the eye. So this is a typical sort of discovery process. You find one thing, you use a little yellow man, you look for another thing, and then you look around that area. It's always a good idea to look around the main site, because on this side of the road there's not supposed to be anything there, but there's obviously a substantial underground installation on that side of the road which isn't accessible from the old ammunition store, which is over here, because that old ammunition store is occasionally open to the public and you can go on a tour around there, but the other side does not officially exist. And this is an example of a covert military base. There are no military style fences around it, and I can tell you from experience that security is provided by two rough looking men in a Land Rover, and if they see you poking around too much on that side of the main road, you'll find they'll come up to you, ask you what's your business, tell you it might be a good idea if you went somewhere else. So let's go somewhere else. And here we have Cornwall Airport at Newquay, and this is another example of a Second World War facility that's been repurposed, and it's been repurposed not once into a civilian airport but twice. And you can see around here you've got the old Thorn missile pads from the 1950s. You've got the Aviation Museum, but tucked away in the corner is this little area here, and around it you have the old runways. And one good way of telling whether something's been recently built is comparison. You look at the state of the old runways and you look at this area here, and you can see that it's brand new, and around it you have a classic military fence with a gate post. And this is all new construction, and this I believe is called RAF St Morgan, and what is in here is anyone's guess. It's always a good idea to have a look around the edges as well. And this is the fuel storage area, which is obviously still used because there's well paved roads that have been maintained going up to it. It's not the fuel storage area for the commercial. And here are some command and control bunkers. Once again you have classic military fencing around it, and you can see that it's been built recently, certainly a lot more recently than these old missile pads, which used to be the air defence system for British airports. Now if we take our little man and we'll plonk him down somewhere that's close, you'll see that you can't really see anything, and this is typical. And these bases are very well situated so that it's almost impossible to see inside them from the outside. We'll try another area, and yeah, you can sort of see the fuel, the mound of the fuel tank covering, but you still can't really see into the bases. You can see some of these bunker-like buildings dotted around. You've got the airport car park right next door, but there's not much you can see, and as I said, that's typical of these bases. But they do sometimes make a mistake, and sometimes from street view you can see more than I'm sure they would actually like you to. Now to find RAF bases or Air Force bases is fairly straightforward. You can actually Google them if you know their name or if you know their location. However, you can actually find just ordinary civil airports like this one, which have something very much more mysterious hidden inside them. Now here we've got a place called Badger's Mount. Aha! And here's another thing to look for. They love hiding these secret facilities in the middle of wooded areas where no one can actually see in. So look for mysterious clearings in the wood. And you can see this one also has the military fence around it. There is an awful lot of heavy duty bunkers in here. There's a gatehouse, and let's have a look. See what we can see. Nothing through the wood, obviously. Let's go find the entrance and see what that says. Oh, there's a sign. How wonderful. Let's see if we can see it. Oops. Google doesn't really seem to want us looking at that for some reason. You can't see much up the driveway. You can just see a few normal buildings. You can't see into the... Oh look, Chelsfield Distribution Centre. That's a nice innocuous name, isn't it? And a CCTV warning sign telling you you're being watched. Distribution centre. Distribution of all sorts of military goodies. Yes. That's very well hidden. You'd just kind of drive past it really, wouldn't you? Now, here we have a motorway example. This is next to the M4 in England. It's yet another World War II airport, but most of this one's been dug up and it is now an absolutely massive nuclear weapon storage area. And I'm informed that most of Britain's nuclear arsenal that isn't actually deployed is kept here. And some of these things that look like painted areas are not, they're buildings. They're very good at painting things. As you can see, our little yellow man doesn't go in there, and all we can see from the road is a very well fortified gate. This isn't the main entrance, I was trying to sneak in through the back, and lots of barbed wire and an aircraft hangar, which is also probably full of other stuff. And really, that's about it. Follow roads, look for places you can't go, and for some reason it's dumped me in the middle of Wales. I don't know why that is. But Wales does have some secret installations in it, but not today. We don't have the time to go around looking for them. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know I've enjoyed making it. So there we go, and that's been a look at the way that I use Google Maps to discover places. And you can also find them by following roads, like major roads. They'll never be far away from a major road, like a highway or a motorway. They'll never be far away from electric power. I found installations in the American deserts by simply following the power lines and railway tracks across the desert. That works very well. It works very well in this country as well. At the end of the day, a military base has got to have roads, it's got to have easy transportation access, especially if it's something like an ammunition dump. It's got to have electricity, it's got to have some major telecommunications, and they seem to like building things in weird shapes. I mean, there are some very strangely shaped military buildings around the world, including some that are shaped like swastikas, which are used for nuclear weapons assembly of all things. Well, I hope you found this interesting and useful, and if you have, please like, share and subscribe, of course.
Well, you could subscribe to Arduinotronic, or just go jump in a lake.